Hello there, friends. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful blanket. I'm just going to work up a sample of 3 of the circles or flowers. They kind of look like daisies and encapsulated daisies. I don't know. I'm just saying things. That's fine. I love all of the different textures. I love the baubles. I love how the seam that I came up with for this, so much texture. Here's what the back of our work looks like. So let's get right into what we're going to need. This pattern works well with any worsted weight yarn. If you want to make this a bulky blanket, you can use a bulky yarn. I don't know about super bulky. I wouldn't go higher than probably 5. If you want to make this a scarf, boom, right there. All you need is the 2 and you've got a beautiful scarf. You can add another and make it a wrap. I think it's very versatile. You could even make it a table runner with just the 2, or you can do a 3rd and make it a table runner. Beautiful. So you can use this for more than just blankets, in my opinion. But yes, any worsted weight yarn will work. This pattern, we are working with a 5.5 millimeter hook, which is an eye. And you're going to need scissors and a darning needle. And that's about it, and me. So let's get right into this. Okay, the yarn I'm using, by the way, is Red Heart Super Saver. I believe the color is called gold, just simply gold, if you're interested in this color. So yeah, this works really well in all kinds of cute colors. Okay. So you're going to want to, of course, I always leave a long tail for weaving in. Make your slip knot. So to start off, we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Turn your work, and in the back bumps, skip 2 back bumps, and in the 3rd one, work a double crochet. That creates our first ring. What I mean by that is, right now we're creating these rings right here in the middle. Okay? So, here we go. Now you're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And again, we're going to turn our work, and in the 3rd back bump from the loop, from the hook, make a double crochet. Now, I'm only making a sample pattern, or a sample of this blanket pattern here. What you're going to want to do is make a total of 28 rings if you're wanting to make the full blanket. And you're also going to need to make a total of 12 of these panels that are 28, basically 28 flowers long. Okay, so for the sake of this video, I'm only going to work 3. We're going to chain 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And again, work a double crochet in the 3rd back bump from the hook. This is the repeat until you have 28 of these little rings made. You're going to end with 5 chains. So that is the repeat, is to work your ring, make 10 chains, and then working in the 3rd back bump from the hook, work another double crochet, thus creating another ring. Do that 28 times. After you've made your last ring, work 5 chains and then come on back. So now let's carry on. I'm just going to assume that you've worked the number of loops that you want. By the way, this would also make a really cute matching pillow if you wanted to make this for like a throw pillow to match your throw blanket. Oh, super cute. Okay, sorry, enough distractions. Okay, in the 2nd back bump from the hook, go ahead and work a single crochet. And now we're going to work with treble crochet, and we're going to work what I'm going to refer to as a shell. And a shell stitch is 5 treble crochet separated by a chain 1. So we are going to chain 1, wrap around twice, and in the loop that we made, work a treble crochet, then chain 1, and do that 4 more times.
Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. I went to a club, right? And they had no baggy pants and no sneakers. That was wild. I didn't know what to think about that.
Okay, and then be sure to chain 1 after you work your last treble. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you're going to count 4 back bumps over, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 4th back bump, work a single crochet and chain 1 and repeat working a shell stitch separated by a single crochet in the 4th back bump over all the way across your entire chain. When you're done with your last shell stitch, you're going to count 4 back bumps over, and that's going to put you in the last stitch. Put your last single crochet in the last stitch. Meet me when you get to the end. Okay, once you reach the end of your chain and you have made all of your shell stitches in, your shell pattern in the little loops that you've made, you've worked your last single crochet in the very last stitch. What you're going to do now is chain 1, turn, and work a slip stitch in the top of that single crochet. Oops, almost made a single crochet. Now chain 2 and work a slip stitch in the top of the next treble crochet over. We're going to skip all of the chain 1 spaces all the way across. So work a slip stitch. This is going to be the repeat all the way across the entire chain. I don't know why I say I'm sorry. Chain 2, slip stitch into the top of that stitch, chain 2, skip over the space, slip stitch into the top of the treble, chain 2, skip over the chain 1 space, slip stitch into the top of the treble, chain 2, and repeat, chain 2, and into the single crochet. We're just going to keep that going. We're going to slip stitch into the single crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch into the next treble crochet. Okay, do this all the way across and come back when you have slip stitched into your single crochet on the end. Okay, I have completed my row all the way to my single crochet. I worked my last slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 3, turn, and things are going to get only a little complicated for just the first few stitches until you get it figured out. So now what we're going to do is work a treble crochet behind the chain 2. So basically you just want to move this chain 2 out of your way and working in the space right here just below the chain 2. I know it's going to be really hard to see. What you're wanting to do is basically, here's the chain 2. I'm sort of pulling it up. We're going to be working around this stitch into that space. So coming from the back of our work, push your 2 chains out of the way and come up around that chain 1 space and work a treble crochet. Okay, chain 1, and we're going to work a double crochet the exact same way, working behind. By the way, this entire row is just working behind the chain 2s. Okay, so working behind the chain 2 again, and in the next space over, so we just worked into this space here. Now we're working the next space over behind the chain 2. You see I'm coming from behind the chain 2, and work a double crochet around this chain 1 space. Like that. Chain 1, and now in the next 2 stitches, so these 2 stitches here, these 2 spaces, we're going to work behind the chain 2, come around, and just work a single crochet, chain 1, next space over, come behind, work a single crochet, chain 1, wrap around your hook, wrap around your hook, and we're going to work a double crochet behind these chain 2 spaces. Sorry, I'm getting so tongue-tied. Chain 1, wrap twice. We're going to work a treble crochet 2 together. We're going to start our first treble in this space here, and we're going to work our second treble in this space here, and then bring them both together to create 1. So behind the chain 2 space, you're going to pick up that chain 1 space right there, pull through 2, and stop. Wrap around twice, and in the next space over, come from behind and pick up that chain 1 space below, pull through 2, now we're going to pull through all 3, and that is a treble crochet 2 together, chain 1, and we're going to repeat this pattern that we just worked all over again into every shell across the row. So we're going to work a double crochet behind the chain 2 space, picking up, basically what we're doing is we're working behind the chain 2 space of this round here, and we're picking up the chain 1 space of the previous round. It's so confusing, I know, I'm sorry. I hope you guys are understanding the way I'm explaining it. I think you guys can understand it very clearly, but I feel like maybe I'm not explaining it very well. Okay, we just worked a double crochet. Now we're going to work our 2 single crochets separated by a chain 1, and don't forget to chain 1 after every stitch we make. So coming over here to the next space, we just worked in this space. Now we're going to work in this space and this space. We're going to pick up that chain 1 space, work a single crochet, chain 1, and the very next one over. Pick up that chain 1 space, work a single crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to work a double crochet in the next space over, chain 1, and now we're going to work our treble crochet 2 together in these 2 spaces here. So let me wrap twice. There we go. 1, 2, stop, wrap twice. 1, 2, then pull through all 3 and chain 1. And we do it all over again. We're going to work a double crochet. We just worked in this space. Now in this space, we're going to work a double crochet behind the chain 2. Chain 1. Now we're going to work our 2 single crochets in the next 2 spaces. So 1 single crochet, chain 1, in the next space over, 1 single crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to work the double crochet in the next space over. And in this space and in our double crochet, we're going to work our treble crochet 2 together. So here we go. Oh, let me chain 1, wrap around twice, pick up that chain 1 space, 1, 2, stop, wrap around twice again. Now instead of working through the whole stitch, because we want to keep, see what we're creating here? We're creating that texture, that 3D texture that sticks out, see? We are creating that 3D texture. So to keep the 3D texture consistent, we're not going to work through the whole stitch. We're just going to work through the back bump only. I'm sorry, not the back bump only, forgive me, through the back loop only. I'm so sorry. 1, 2, now pull through all 3. And so working through the back loop only it helps us keep that ridge 3D like consistent. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1, turn. This is a very easy row here. We're just going to put a single crochet in the top of every stitch, And in every single chain one space, all gets a single crochet. Okay? I am really sorry if the way I explained that was confusing. I feel like it was confusing as I was saying it, but the only way I'm going to know is whenever I look back as I'm editing this whether or not I need to refilm that part. Okay, work a single crochet in every stitch across, and keep in mind that your turning chain is not a stitch. You're going to work a single crochet, because we're basically, the way we worked these whenever we started off is sort of like the treble crochet two together. So the top of this stitch right here is your last stitch of the row. So work a single crochet in that and ignore this completely. I've completed all of my single crochet. Now we're going to turn, and this is going to be our bobble row. So you're going to work a single crochet in the very first single crochet, and in that same stitch we're going to do a 4 wrap bobble. So yarn over and enter in the stitch and pull up a loop 4 total times. That was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to pull through all the loops but the last one. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. We're not going to be chaining anything. We're going to skip over the next stitch and immediately jump into the next one over with a single crochet. Pop out your bobble, and in that same stitch as the single crochet, work your next 4 wrap bobble. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 loops on your hook, and we're going to pull through the first 8, and then we're going to pull through those last 2, skip the next stitch, work a single crochet in the next stitch over, and work your bobble in the same stitch. Okay, we're going to 1, 2, 3, and 4, pull through 8, and then pull through 2. Skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch over, work our single crochet and a bobble stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull through 8, pull through 2, and a single crochet after skipping 1 stitch and the next stitch over. So do this all the way across your entire row, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. Okay, I've worked all of my bobble stitches. Now we're going to do a little something here at the end, and we're going to do this for every column that we make. Just to keep things appearing consistent, we're going to add a slip stitch here on the end. We're not going to actually use the slip stitch. It's not going to be a stitch. It's just going to help keep things looking straight and even. So this little strand right here that's holding our bobble stitch together, we're going to go ahead and work a slip stitch in it. That's just going to give us a little extra bulk on the end. Here we go. Now we'll chain 1, and we're going to skip right over that slip stitch right there. We're just going to skip right over it, and into our first stitch we're going to work single crochets all the way across. And that was my slip stitch. Okay, don't work into the slip stitch like I just about did. It looks like you've got 2 stitches here. This is your chain 1. This is your slip stitch. This is your first real stitch. Can you see why? The first stitch is this far over. That's why I wanted to add some bulk on the end. So work a single crochet row all the way across. Work a single crochet in every stitch you see. The longer stitches on top are your bobble stitches, and these are your single crochet stitches. Work a single crochet into all of them. And I also wanted to show you that this is our single crochet, and this is the bulk we added on the end, and it does keep things looking nice, and it keeps our self nice and consistent. Okay, so work a single crochet row all the way across. Then we have 1 more row to work before we are done with this side, and we will begin working on this side. Okay, I'm about to work my last single crochet in my last single crochet, and it's usually laying sort of on the side over here. Just go ahead and pick that up, work a single crochet, That keeps everything nice and straight. Now we're going to chain 1, turn, and we're going to work a row of front loop slip stitches, starting with the very first stitch. We're not skipping anything. The very first stitch can be slightly tricky to get into with a slip stitch, but I know you guys can make it work. I usually just use my thumb to push this loop firmly against my hook while I pull through, and that helps. After that, the slip stitches are really, really easy to get into. And don't work them real tight, but don't work them super loose. Just work them moderately taut. There we go. So work your front loop slip stitches all the way to the end, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. A really great thing about these columns, another way that I have modernized it, is it's going to be all worked in one piece. We don't have to cut and then start on this side. It's all going to be fluid one piece. So I'll meet you when we get back to the end here and you've worked your last front loop slip stitch. So once again, we're going to have to modify the end just slightly, just to keep everything level. We're going to add an additional slip stitch right here. See, here is our last stitch. Right here is our last stitch, our last front loop. I'm going to go ahead and throw a slip stitch into this little hole right here on the end, and that's just to keep things even, because we are working with a lot of open-ended work here, so we have to, you know, sometimes we just have to make it work. So I'm going to work one more slip stitch there on the end, and I feel like that just keeps it looking clean, keeps it looking nice and even. All right, now what we're going to do is chain 1, and we're going to loosely, not super loosely, but loosely slip stitch all the way across. So starting in the stitch we just worked into, let's go ahead and work a slip stitch. Then right here on top of the puff or bobble, whichever. Now inside of the bobble you'll find a little deal that you can pick up and slip stitch into that. Now at the bottom of the bobble. Okay, and then right here in this space and in this space here. Now we're going to work through, we're not going to work around this, we're actually going to work through it. First time I did this, I worked around it and it was so chunky and bulky, so I figured it's easier, better looking just to work through it. So work 2 slip stitches into this bar here, the side of this stitch. There we go. Now we're going to work one right here on the end of it. We're going to work one right here. And finally one in this last stitch, or our first stitch technically. So work one there, chain 1, and now there you go. And we look consistent still. Okay. Now we're going to repeat everything we did on this side. So we're going to start off, we've already done our first slip stitch. We've done our first chain 1, I'm sorry. Now we're going to work a double crochet in that same stitch. And we're going to chain 1, wrap around twice. Now we're going to work our treble crochet shells with a single crochet separating them. So when you're done doing that all the way to the end of your row, come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Well, you know what? Let me just work the first shell with you. Nope, only wrap around twice. There we go. And remember that all of your trebles are to be separated with a chain 1. Chain 1. That's 4. That's it. Yes, that's 4. Get a little slack here. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to bump you. Okay, last one. And remember to chain 1 on the last one. Now we're going to work a single crochet in that single crochet, and then chain 1 and complete working all of your shell stitches separated by a single crochet all the way to the end of your row, and then come back. Okay, now that we've reached the end of this row, we've worked all of our shells. We're going to chain 1. Excuse me, sorry about that. And work a slip stitch in the first single crochet, chain 2, and work a slip stitch in the top of the treble crochet, chain 2, work a slip stitch in the top of the treble crochet, and you're going to finish this all the way across. Work this all the way across. Oh, I'm so bad. I almost feel like I need to refilm this. Working a slip stitch in the top of every stitch, including the single crochet, separated by a chain 2, and you're going to end with a slip stitch in your last single crochet. Okay, come back whenever you have completed all of that. Okay, now that we are all done working our slip stitches followed by a chain 2 all the way to the end, we're going to chain 3. There we go, chain 3, and we're going to work those stitches where we are working behind the chain 2. So our first one is a treble, come behind the chain 2 and work that treble, followed by a chain 1. Now the next space over we work a double, then chain 1. Now we're going to work our 2 singles, single crochet, chain 1, next space over is single crochet, chain 1. Now we work a double in the next space over, then chain 1, and now we're going to work our treble crochet 2 together. There we go. Stop at that point, wrap twice, the next space over, and make another one. And pull through all 3, chain 1, and we work a double crochet in the next space over. There we go, chain 1. Now we work our 2 singles, followed by a chain 1 space, chain 1, work our double in the next space over, chain 1, and there you go. So now you're going to work your treble crochet 2 together and carry on, ending with your treble crochet 2 together, starting your first one in this last space right here, and you make your second one in the back loop only of your last single crochet stitch. Okay, so finish working that all the way across and come back and we will work our single crochet row. Okay, now that I have worked all of the various stitches on that row, a variety pack stitch row, we chain 1, turn, and in the same stitch we began working our single crochet row, where we will work a single crochet in the top of every stitch and in every chain 1 space. Okay, I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I have completed my single crochet row. At some point in this tutorial, I'm going to get words right. I promise. No, I probably won't. Okay, now we are going to chain 1 and start working our bobble stitches. So in the very first single crochet, work a single crochet, and then immediately start working your 4 wrap bobble stitches. That's 3 and 4. Pull through and pull through those last 2. Skip 1, single crochet, pop out our little bobble stitch there, and then work that bobble stitch. 3 and 4, pull through 8, then pull through 2. Skip 1, work a single crochet, and keep doing this all the way to the end of the row. 3 and 4, there we go. pull through those two, and I'll just put a single crochet here. So keep working these all the way to the end of the row and come back and I'll tell you what we're going to do next. Okay, I've worked my bobble stitches. Now we're going to work a single crochet row, but remember, like we did last time, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into this little strand that's holding this bobble stitch together. Just go ahead and put a slip stitch in there. And again, the slip stitch isn't for anything other than bulk. Chain one. Now skipping over the slip stitch, we're going to work single crochets starting in the first bobble stitch there. Oops, almost worked a slip stitch. So many different stitches. Okay, one single crochet. Now, let's work a single crochet in every stitch across. Okay, and I will meet you when we get to the end of this single crochet row. Okay, just coming up to my last stitch. Remember, our last single crochet that we're going to work into kind of lays off onto the side. Oh, I can get my needle under it. Right there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's our stitch. There we go. Chain one, turn. Now we are going to work our slip stitch row, front loop, slip stitch in every stitch across, and then that's it. You can cut, weave in all your ends, and start making your next column. Again, you will need a total of 12 of them. And you can, with this pattern, you can make this anything you really want. Like I said in the beginning, it can be a table runner, a pillowcase, it can be a wrap, all kinds of neat things. Does not necessarily have to be a throw blanket, but it does make quite a beautiful throw blanket. Okay, I'll meet you when we get to the end. Like we did before, just to keep things looking even, I'm going to go ahead and work a slip stitch in this non-stitch right here on the very end. There we go. And now we can chain one and need my scissors and cut. And that is that column. Now let's go ahead and show you how we're going to sew these together. Okay, turn it around to the wrong side or the back side of it. Get you some yarn. I don't need quite that much. Okay. Get your darning needle threaded. Here we go. Let me get you a little closer. It's going to be bouncy for a second. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do is our last row was a row of slip stitches. So we worked front loop slip stitch, which means we skipped all the back loops. Well, these are the back loops right here. Right here, these are all of the back loops that we skipped. So we're going to use the back loops to stitch our work together. So go ahead and pick up the first two back loops that you have. And just leave a little bit of a tail. And we're going to work this whipped stitch, like going around like that to create a nice firm stitch. So pick up the next two back loops and pull that taunt, and then pick up the next two. There we go. And I like to hold it back this way so I can see which loops I've already picked up and worked. There we go. And just keep picking up those back loops all along the entire way, and it creates that beautiful textured raised seam in the front. And I absolutely love it. Oops, oh, picked up a little fragment of a stitch there. There we go. And then we just kind of line this up. Keep everything nice and even. There we go. Okay, I'm going to jump off camera and finish working this seam, and then I'll be back and show you how we're going to work and clean up the edge area and then work your tassels in. Okay, now that I have completed seaming my two panels together over here, let's go ahead and work the edge so we can see how we're going to clean up these edges when we're all done with the blanket. Chain one, I just entered my stitch under this single crochet right here, or inside the single crochet. Now I've chained one, I'm going to work a single crochet, and you're basically going to do your best to work a nice, neat, even row of single crochet all the way around the entire blanket. Everywhere that you can get your hook into to make an evenly spaced single crochet, go ahead and do that. You can work around these bars here. We're not doing slip stitches, so we can just work around these bars here. And it looks like I'm going to put 3 right there. Then I'll put 1 in right here. So as you can see, I'm just sort of willy-nilly placing them, but I'm trying to be diligently even about it. There we go. I think I can get 2 in this bar. Yep. And then 1 next to it, 1 on the other side of that. So that's what you're going to do all the way around. Well, at least on the open-ended areas. So let me work my way across this, and I'll show you how we're going to work these edges here where the slip stitch row is. Okay, so I have worked my single crochet row all the way to the end. Don't worry about all of the dips, because we're going to be placing, like right here is where we're going to place one of the tassels, you know, so we're going to be placing tassels in those areas. All right, so here I am at the end. What I'm going to do is work one more. No, I got that wrong. We're going to turn around to the back. I got that wrong. We're not going to work into these slip stitches at all. Come around to the back and you will see the stitches here, like what we seamed the work together in. The back loops that we did not work, we're going to go ahead and work single crochets into them. Okay, so there's my first one. Work a single crochet. And just work a single crochet into all of the back loops. Just like that. There it is. Let's do a few more of these so we can see the result of how that's going to look. This is going to be the side of the blanket. The tops and the bottoms is this kind of jaggedy looking work, but this is where we're going to put tassels. This is going to be the sides of the blanket. All right, I think that's enough. Now let's see how that is looking. There you go. That is how it's going to look, and it's going to push those slip stitches up to keep consistent with our seam. And I think it looks really nice, and it looks really textured and interesting, and I love it. I love everything about it. So there you go. Now let's go ahead and work a few tassels, okay? Okay, so I have been doing a few wraps. This is about 10 and a half, 11 inches long here, and you're just going to fold it over, slide through, fold it over, slide through your fingers. Just make a bunch of them because you're going to need to make tassels all along the top and bottom. There you go. That'll be enough for right now, at least for the tutorial's sake. Okay, and then cut through all of your loops. Sure wish I could find my other scissors. These ones here make me a little nervous, just because this part pinches. Okay, so grab 3 or 4, whichever you want. I'm going to go ahead and grab 3 for now. Let's see how. I don't remember what I did last time. You know what? I'm going to grab 4. I think I probably grabbed 4 before as well. I feel like that's correct. Okay, so 4 tassels, or 4 strands to make 1 tassel. And you're going to place a tassel in this area here. So come through the bottom of the stitch. There you go. Grab, pull it on through, pull up a bit, and you could just use your fingers really once you get it through the stitch, and pull it on through like so. And you're actually going to start with your first tassel here on the end. You want a tassel not on the very end, right here at the bottom of the bobbles. You want a tassel below each bobble row. Below this area here, you want a tassel here, a tassel here, a tassel here. So on the ends, you want to put a tassel on the bottom of your bobble row because you don't have a seam. Everywhere else, though, you're going to put a tassel here, here, here. Okay, you get it now. So there you go. That is how you make this blanket. And oh my gosh, I love it so much. I just find this stitch pattern to be so interesting. It's almost like a sampler stitch, you know, you get all different kinds in one. It's just very interesting. But yes, I am a big fan. And there you go with the tassel. There you go. And I love the seam. I love it all. I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye.